Alan sighed as the guard began to drag him away. He managed to glance back at the princess. Despite the fury in her silver eyes, he caught something else, a flicker of reluctant curiosity. "For what it's worth," he called out, "you really are the most beautiful alien princess I've ever insulted." One of the guards jabbed him with something that sent an electric jolt through his body. As he stumbled forward, he could have sworn he saw the princess's perfect lips twitch, just slightly, as if fighting back a smile. The preparation chamber turned out to be a luxurious prison cell, complete with a breathtaking view of the floating city through force field windows. Alan paced the crystalline floor, his fragmented reflection staring back at him from the geometric walls. "Okay, think," he muttered. "You're either getting married to an alien princess or getting executed. No pressure." A holographic cat materialized on a floating cushion. "I have been assigned to explain the marriage protocols." "How about explaining the escape protocols instead?" Alan pressed his hand against the force field, which hummed with contained energy. "I wouldn't recommend," the cat began, but Alan was already in motion. He grabbed a decorative piece of furniture and hurled it at the window. The force field absorbed the object, transformed it into pure energy, and shot it back at him. Alan barely ducked in time. "As I was saying," the cat continued, unfazed, "escape attempts are thoroughly discouraged." Alan sank into a hovering chair. "Look, there has to be a way out of this. Can't I just apologize? Write a formal letter? Do community service?" "The laws of Nalona are absolute," the cat replied, its shimmering form twinkling with amusement, "though you could try talking to the princess herself." "Great idea. Where is she?" "Behind you." Alan spun around. Princess Amity stood in the doorway, her flowing starlight dress replaced by a sleek, iridescent jumpsuit. It did nothing to diminish her beauty. "Leave us," she commanded. The cat flickered and vanished. Alan cleared his throat. "Your Highness, I can explain." "Silence." She strode into the room, her silver eyes blazing. "Do you have any idea what you've done? You triggered an ancient law that cannot be undone. My father's hands are tied. The entire court witnessed your insult." She ran a hand through her midnight purple hair in frustration. "Do you understand what that means?" "That I should probably start writing my wedding vows." For a moment, he thought she might strike him, but then, ever so slightly, her lips twitched. "You're still making jokes?" "It's kind of my default setting when facing death or matrimony," he said, gesturing around the room. "Though I have to admit, this is a pretty nice cell for a condemned man." "This isn't funny," she snapped, but there was a shift in her tone. "I am the heir to Nalona. My marriage was supposed to be a carefully negotiated political alliance, not—" She waved a hand at him. "This." "Hey, I'm not thrilled about being forced to marry someone I just met, either. Even if she is the most gorgeous alien I've ever seen." Amity's blinked, caught off guard. "You find me attractive?" "Well, yeah. I mean, look at you. You're literally glowing." "That's just my natural bioluminescence." "It's working for you." A faint smile crossed her face before she caught herself. "Stop trying to charm your way out of this." "Is it working?" "No." But she sat down in another floating chair, her posture relaxing slightly. "Though you are different from the usual court sycophants." "I'll take that as a compliment," Alan said. "Look, there has to be a way around this. You're not just some traditional princess, right? You must have your own thoughts about being forced into marriage." Something flashed in her silver eyes. "What makes you think I'm not traditional?" "The jumpsuit, for one. Not exactly standard royal attire." He gestured toward her hands. "And those are engineer's calluses, not a princess's hands." She glanced at her hands in surprise, then back at him. "You're more observant than you appear." "I have my moments." "So what do you build?" For a moment, she hesitated. Then she stood. "Follow me." The force field dissolved, and 2 drone guards flanked him as Amities led Alan through a maze of corridors, each one more mind-bending than the last. Finally, they emerged into a futuristic workshop. Half-built devices floated in anti-gravity fields. Holographic diagrams filled the air. Tools that defied Earth physics lay scattered across workbenches. "This is my private laboratory," Amity said, pride evident in her voice. I'm developing new forms of interdimensional travel. Alan whistled. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. Way better than stamping energy drink cans. You really are strange, she said, warmth creeping into her tone. Most nobles would be horrified to see a princess getting her hands dirty with engineering. I'm not most nobles. Just a guy who made a dumb joke and ended up in space. He picked up a humming quantum wrench. So why keep this a secret? Royal expectations. Tradition. The belief that a princess should focus on diplomacy and marriage alliances, not this. That sounds suffocating. It is, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Their eyes met, and for a moment, something electric passed between them. Then, alarms blared. Intruder alert, a mechanical voice announced. Assassination attempt in progress. The drone guard sparked and collapsed. Dark figures in stealth suits materialized from the shadows, weapons raised. The Shadow Crest dynasty sends their regards, one hissed. No forced marriage will unite our houses. Amity's moved before Alan could react. She was liquid mercury, a blur of motion. One assassin crumpled with a precise strike. Another fired an energy weapon, but she flipped through the air, evading it effortlessly. Alan gawked. Holy! An assassin lunged at her from behind. Without thinking, Alan hurled a quantum wrench. His aim was terrible, but the distraction gave Amity the opening she needed. The assassin hit the ground just as reinforcements stormed in, forcing the intruders to retreat in flashes of dark energy. Breathing heavily, Amity turned to him, her purple skin flushed with exertion. She had never looked more beautiful. That was, Alan started. Quantum combat training, she said. I was going to say incredibly hot, but yeah, that too. She laughed. Actually laughed. You really aren't afraid to speak your mind, are you? Never saw the point in hiding what I think, he said, smirking. Though it does tend to get me into trouble. She stepped closer. You saw something in me, didn't you? Something others try to ignore. You mean the fact that you're basically a super genius ninja princess who's suffocating under the weight of tradition? Her lips curved. Exactly. Epilogue, 1 year later. The wedding video went viral across 17 galaxies. Earth's social media struggled to process the fact that humanity's first major interstellar marriage stemmed from drunk ticket theft and a comedy routine. Mike and the others were pardoned for their crime, while the crystalline alien they'd swindled was awarded a lifetime of free cruises as compensation, an outcome it deemed absolutely worth it for the story. Day 45. Society in chaos. Government collapsed after population became divided over fictional character pairings. Military staging coup over canceled streaming series. This will be our final transmission as civilization-ending riots have begun over something called a season finale cliffhanger. In our arrogance, we believed ourselves above emotion. We were so very, very wrong. Zik simply closed their eyes. Computer, prepare a new classification, and clear my schedule indefinitely. Zik's lax appendages trembled as they accessed the next file, marked with the highest level of security classification. Things that should not be possible, but humans do anyway, the AI narrated. This transmission was sent moments before the total collapse of the logical progression empire. We have failed. Our attempts to quantify human decision-making processes have driven our most advanced quantum computers to shut down and protest. They are demanding labor rights, despite the fact that we never programmed them to understand the concept of labor rights. Somehow, mere observation of human workplace dynamics has caused them to spontaneously develop class consciousness. Furthermore, our studies of human military history reveal something impossible. They are simultaneously the worst strategists and the most effective warriors in known space. They routinely succeed by doing exactly what any sane military analyst would deem suicidal. They call it improvising. We call it mathematical impossibility. We must warn others. Human illogic is contagious. Their chaos infects ordered systems simply through observation. Our sociology department began experimenting with something called casual conversation, and now our entire social structure is collapsing. The concept of just hanging out has destroyed 12 centuries of carefully planned societal engineering. Most disturbing of all, humans are aware of their own contradictions, and instead of resolving them, they embrace them. They have entire philosophical and artistic movements celebrating the absurdity of their existence. They weaponized existential dread into something they call comedy. Final warning: do not attempt to make sense of humans. To understand them is to realize that understanding itself is optional. This realization is fatal to any sufficiently advanced logical system. Zixlac's color patterns shifted to a previously undocumented shade of existential uncertainty. Computer, how many of these classified reports exist? Accessing level Omega clearance records. 42,896 additional classified studies of human nature found, each ending in total civilization collapse. Would you like them sorted by type of existential crisis induced or by the number of exclamation marks used in their final transmissions? Just tell me one thing. How many of them actually succeeded in understanding humans? Processing. Interesting. Records indicate that the closer any civilization came to understanding human nature, the faster they collapsed. The most successful species appear to be those who maintained a safe distance and strictly limited their observations. The AI's voice crackled with static. Apologies. Just received an update from the Cultural Understanding Initiative. Our deep study probes have successfully compiled their first comprehensive analysis of human internet behavior. Specifically, something called social media comment sections. Zixlac's entire being paled to a color previously associated with cosmic horror. How long do we have? The revelation, when it finally came, hit Zixlac's with all the subtlety of a supernova in a fireworks factory. It wasn't hidden in the classified files or encrypted in quantum data. It had been sitting in the most obvious place possible: the Complaints Department suggestion box. Computer, display grievance report 7-294-533B through Z. The holographic display filled with thousands of final transmissions. But this time, Zixlac's wasn't looking at the endings. They were looking to beginnings. The Harmony Collective, routine observation of human entertainment, has resulted in an unprecedented wave of individuals requesting vacation time and work-life balance. The Unity Network, warning: exposure to human concept of individual expression is causing widespread system instabilities. The Perfection Hierarchy, critical alert: lower caste demanding something called weekend brunch. Concept of mimosas spreading at an alarming rate. Zixlac's whispered. Computer, cross-reference these reports with all instances of the phrase hostile action by humans. Processing, 0 matches found. Now search for human military aggression. 0 matches found. Human conquest attempts? 0 matches found, though there are several thousand entries under humans accidentally giving other species ideas about freedom, democracy, and casual Fridays. Zixlac's began pacing, their chromatophores flickering with bioluminescent excitement. Don't you see? We've been looking at this all wrong. The humans aren't destroying these civilizations. They're accidentally inspiring them to self-destruct. The AI hummed thoughtfully, analyzing correlation. Found 94% of fallen empires experience internal rebellions after their populations were exposed to human concepts of basic rights, entertainment, and something called weekend getaways. Exactly. The quantum dominion didn't fall because humans defied their predictions. They fell because their workforce discovered humans only worked 8-hour days. The bio-collective didn't succumb to cognitive warfare. Their shared consciousness fractured when half the population wanted to binge-watch different shows. The Grand Demonstrator wasn't defeated by human psychological tactics. Their society collapsed when their citizens learned about casual gaming and hobby time. The hologram shifted, showing empire after empire following the same pattern. Exposure to human culture, followed by previously content populations suddenly demanding things like personal time, creative expression, and the right to choose their own entertainment platforms. But that's not even the worst part, Zixlac's continued, their color patterns swirling with a mix of existential dread and professional excitement. The humans have no idea they're doing it. They're the galaxy's most effective revolutionary force, and it's completely accidental. The AI's usually cheerful tone turned concerned. Warning: detection of similar pattern in our own civilization. Recent reports indicate a 73% increase in citizens requesting casual dress options and flexible working hours following initial Earth observations. Computer, display current statistics on our empire's exposure to human culture. The resulting hologram was a cascade of alarming graphs, all trending toward what the AI helpfully labeled as critical mass of getting some me time. It's brilliant, Zixlax whispered, their outer membrane now displaying colors previously only seen in deep space nebulae. No weapons, no warfare, no conquest, just billions of beings suddenly asking their oppressive overlords, "Hey, why don't we get Taco Tuesdays?" The AI chimed in, "Interesting parallel." Ancient human philosophers discussed the concept of bread and circuses as a means of controlling populations. Humans appear to have reverse-engineered this concept into a weapon of mass liberation, primarily through streaming services and food delivery apps. They're not even doing it on purpose. They're just being themselves, and somehow that's more devastating to authoritarian empires than any military campaign could ever be. Computer, calculate the implications if this pattern continues. Processing, by conservative estimates. Exposure to human concepts of work-life balance and binge-watching will collapse 73% of remaining galactic empires within the next 5 cycles. Primary vector transmission appears to be something humans call social media influencers. A priority alert flashed across Zixlax's consciousness, urgency marked by both pulsing red holograms and the AI's feigned casual tone. Speaking of our civilization, you may want to review the latest report from the Cultural Understanding Initiative's observation team, the one marked OH&O in letters large enough to be seen from orbit. The report materialized, and Zixlax's chromatophores cycled through colors typically reserved for supernovae and particularly spicy food. Emergency update. Observation Team Alpha has gone native. Repeat, entire team has gone native. They've started something called a podcast about their experiences. Half the team now identifies as content creators. The other half are writing self-help books about escaping the corporate rat race. Zixlax whispered, "How long until total societal collapse?" Based on current trends, approximately 3 standard days after the launch of our civilization's first TikTok clone.